Right before Thanksgiving break, I stumbled onto a post on our college's subreddit, title AITA for wanting my childhood friend to give me his concert tickets. The post was about a trip to Savannah. The OP wanted to go with her best friend, but the last 2 tickets were bought by her childhood guy friend and his girlfriend. I scrolled through the comments, and they were piling up fast. Top comment, dude, it's his childhood bestie, he should totally let her have them. Brothers before, you know. OP's reply, ugh. I know, right? But I'm worried his girlfriend will flip out. Let's just say she's super possessive. Another comment, sounds like the perfect test of loyalty. If he picks his GF over you, then you know where you stand. Drop him. The OP shot back immediately. OP's reply, no way, he'd never do that. We've known each other for almost 20 years, we were basically inseparable growing up. He'll always have my back. I frowned, scrolling down. The OP's tone felt weirdly familiar. Just then, a text message popped up on my screen. It was from my boyfriend, Ryan. Ryan, hey, babe, change of plans for Thanksgiving. Forget Savannah, what do you think about a road trip to Texas? The day before break, my roommate and I had just gotten back from a vintage shop downtown. I'd found the perfect sundress for walking through the historic streets of Savannah and couldn't wait to show Ryan. I was fresh out of the shower, about to FaceTime him, when I saw that Reddit post. Since Ryan and I had already, after weeks of waiting on a notification list, snagged tickets for a popular Savannah ghost tour, my curiosity was piqued. I kept reading. Comment, wait, are you seriously asking him to cancel his trip with his girlfriend for you? Another comment, I mean, maybe they can talk it out. What if she didn't even want to go to Savannah that bad? Reply, it's the day before a major holiday break. Who in their right mind cancels a sold-out trip at the last minute? No one. Ryan and I had practically prayed for those tickets to come through. I couldn't agree more, so I upvoted the comment. As I did, I noticed the OP had upvoted the comment right below it. Comment, it's an unspoken rule. The childhood friend card trumps everything. Just ask him for the tickets, straight up. Reply, seriously. My guy friend and I are the same way. I suddenly wanted to go to Miami for spring break last year, but flights were sold out. I called him, laid on the charm, and he canceled the tickets he'd bought for his entire frat group. Me and my sorority sisters snatched them right up. They treat me like a queen now. The sheer audacity of that comment was flooring. It was quickly becoming the most controversial one on the thread. Reply to the reply, that's next level evil. And you're proud of it? Reply to the reply, hope your guy friend didn't get his ass kicked by his frat brothers. I was getting secondhand rage just reading it, upvoting every single comment calling her out. But then I saw the OP had replied just a few minutes ago. OP's reply, oh well, the main issue is his girlfriend getting mad. She's, ugh, so petty. I accidentally took a sip from his water bottle in front of her once and she threw a fit, threatened to break up with him. It was a whole drama scene. So annoying. She followed it up with a cat sipping tea meme. Reply to OP, girl, that just means you have all the power. What's she gonna do when she finds out you were his first kiss? She'll probably explode. OP's reply, OMG, for real. We were each other's first everything back in middle school. He'd never pick her over me. Reply to OP, then go get your tickets, girl. What are you waiting for? I felt sick to my stomach by the end of the thread. I remembered my boyfriend's childhood friend, Haley, had that same entitled way of talking to him. I was about to screenshot the whole disaster and send it to Ryan for a laugh when his text came through first. Ryan, hey, babe, change of plans for Thanksgiving. Forget Savannah, what do you think about a road trip to Texas? My heart dropped. The Reddit post flashed in my mind. I deleted the screenshots I was about to send. Then I remembered Ryan swearing up and down that I was his first real love, his first everything that mattered. I'd even jokingly confirmed it with his friends. The doubt subsided, just a little. Why? You know how excited I was for Savannah. I even bought a new dress for it. I sent him the picture my roommate had taken of me at the shop earlier. I have a curvy figure, and the sundress fit me perfectly. Ryan had always been vocal about how much he loved my body. The 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. He was hesitating. For a long moment, there was nothing. Finally, a new text came in. Ryan, you know I'm from Texas, babe. I want to show you where I grew up. Besides, my parents really want to meet you. I frowned at my phone. Ryan and I had met online, in a group chat for incoming freshmen. I was into his abs and his deep voice. He was into my face and my figure. We both thought it would just be a casual hookup. But then we ended up in the same English class, and during freshman orientation week, he was so sweet and protective. He stood up for me when a drill sergeant wannabe orientation leader was giving me a hard time, and he was always showing up with cold water and a portable fan. I fell for him, hard. The only downside? Haley, his clingy childhood best friend. But even with her buzzing around, we'd only been dating a few months. We were 19. It was way too soon to meet the parents. Meeting your parents is a big step. Why don't you just tell them I'll visit some other time? We're going to Savannah. In the few months we'd been together, Ryan had been pretty agreeable to whatever I wanted, so I didn't even consider he'd say no. I put my phone down and started packing. When I picked it up again, my blood ran cold. Ryan, about that, babe, I already canceled the tickets. I bought us 2 bus tickets to Texas instead. If you don't want to go, I guess we'll just have to stay on campus. The Savannah tour tickets had gone on sale at 8:30 a.m. I was in a chem lab at the time and couldn't use my phone, so I'd left it all to Ryan. When he couldn't get them, he put us on the wait list. I never imagined he'd cancel them on his own. A knot of anger tightened in my stomach. Something felt very, very wrong. I went back to the Reddit thread. The original post had been edited half an hour ago. Edited update, talked to him and we got the tickets. To everyone in the comments hating, you're probably just jealous you don't have a guy best friend who adores you. I scrolled down and saw the angry comments I'd upvoted had all been deleted by the OP. My eyes landed on her comment about drinking from his water bottle. Suddenly, a memory from a month ago clicked into place. I'd seen Haley drink from Ryan's water bottle. It was during a campus-wide scavenger hunt, and Ryan's excuse was that Haley and her friend had run out of water and were desperate. I was thirsty and miserable too, so I let it slide with a fake pout. I never thought it wasn't a one-time thing. It was just one of many times, and the only one I happened to witness. Thank God I'm not the type to share drinks. The thought of his childhood friend's mouth on the same bottle that I might have drunk from was disgusting. Every piece fit. I'm not the kind of person who lets things go. I act. Immediately, I screenshotted everything and fired them off to Ryan. Me, is this Haley's post? So not only did you give her our tickets, but you two were each other's first everything? What happened to swearing on your mother's life that I was your first love? Did you forget that part? The silence from his end was deafening. Just as I was about to storm over to his dorm, my roommate grabbed my arm. Chloe, have you seen Haley's Instagram? That photo she just posted. It looks exactly like the one I took of you today. She paused. And, Ryan liked it. Haley was our class president, so almost everyone in our year followed her. I never liked her vibe, so we didn't even follow each other. I snatched my roommate's phone. It was a classic 9-photo grid. The caption was a lyric from some indie song, "The sky waits for the rain, and I wait for you." The grid had a screenshot of the Savannah tour confirmation, some aesthetic photos of Savannah's cobblestone streets, and right in the center, a familiar picture of a girl in a sundress. It was my picture, the one I had just sent to Ryan. Except my face was blurred out, leaving only my body on full display. Practically our entire class had liked it. The comments were mostly from guys. Comment, "I damn Haley, didn't know you were hiding all that." Comment, "And filters doing God's work." JK, you're a total smoke show. By the way, can we get an extension on that poli-sci paper? I'm dying over here. Comment, "Whoa, when did you stop wearing your usual edgy stuff? This look is so different for you." That last comment made my stomach clench. I scrolled down her feed, and there it was. A whole collection of familiar outfits. Because I'm a bit reserved in person, but still wanted to feel confident, I'd bought a bunch of trendy, hot girl outfits. I rarely wore them out, but I always took pictures for Ryan. Only for Ryan. And he had turned around and given every single one of them to Haley to post as her own. I saw his username liking every post, commenting a gorgeous. Under each one, a white-hot rage shot through me. My roommate saw the look on my face. "Chloe, please don't tell me she's using your photos to catfish someone or something." Her voice was laced with worry. "And Ryan, why would he help her do that?" "I'm going to his dorm right now," I said, my voice dangerously calm. I grabbed my jacket. Then, on an impulse, I shot a text to my own childhood best friend, Jax. His dad had just donated a new library to the university, and he had a whole crew of biker wannabes who followed him everywhere. Me, get off your damn bike and get back to campus. I've got 2 people who need a reality check. Hey, who said only guys could have a ride-or-die childhood friend? Ryan came down from his dorm pretty quickly. He just showered, a white towel was slung around his neck, and his dark hair was still wet. "Babe, listen, I wasn't trying to lie to you," he started, holding his phone up like a shield. "I just know how girls can be about exes and firsts, and I didn't want you to get upset. I was with Haley in the study lounge when the ticket notification came through. She grabbed my phone and canceled them. It was her. If you're mad, I'll make her switch them back, okay?" I didn't believe a word he was saying. But it was getting dark, and his dorm was in a more isolated part of campus. I'm just a girl. Ryan was pure muscle. He might act easygoing, but I'd seen his temper. During orientation week, he'd gotten into a fight with 3 upperclassmen who were hazing freshmen and laid all of them out, not caring about the consequences. Until Jax got here, I needed to play it cool. I kept my voice even. "If Haley can just grab your phone and do whatever she wants, then I guess nothing of mine is safe with you. That debit card I lent you? I want it back. Now." I held out my hand. I'm an only child, and my parents spoil me rotten. They transferred my entire 4-year college fund, $50,000, onto a debit card for me. Ryan came from a low-income, single-parent family. 2 weeks ago, his mom was diagnosed with cancer and needed emergency surgery. They couldn't raise the money, so he came to me. Not knowing the exact cost and not wanting to delay her treatment, I just gave him the card. But after the surgery, he never mentioned giving it back. I figured there were still bills for medicine and hospital stays, so I didn't push it. Now that we were breaking up, I wanted it back. At the mention of the card, Ryan's face changed. "Do you need it right now?" His hesitation confirmed my worst fear. My voice shot up, the anger finally breaking through. I swung my purse and hit him squarely on the head. "Don't tell me you gave the card to Haley. Ryan, are you her freaking dog?" His strength was way more than mine. He easily grabbed my wrists, his brow furrowed. "You hadn't asked for it back in weeks," he said, his tone turning accusatory. "Haley mentioned she wanted to buy a few things, so I let her borrow it. Don't worry, she's really frugal. She survives on like $200 a month from her parents. She wouldn't waste your money." That last part sounded like he was calling me spoiled and petty. I almost laughed. "Ryan, that card was a loan. To you. What right do you have to give my money to someone else? And Haley lives on $200 a month? Is that why she's constantly posting designer makeup hauls on her Instagram story?" I pulled up the screenshots my roommate had sent our group chat, where we'd been complaining about Haley's obvious lies, and shoved the phone in his face. I used to wonder how Haley, who supposedly grew up as poor as Ryan, could afford such a lavish lifestyle. Now I knew. She was funding it with my money. I was so furious I could feel my nails digging into the hard muscle of his arm. "You get Haley on the phone right now. I want my card back." I have our text conversations where I lent you the money and where you promised no one else would use it. If that money is gone, I'm calling a lawyer and pressing charges. He was just a college kid. The word lawyer made him panic. He fumbled to call Haley, asking her how much was left on the card. Her stammering on the other end of the line was audible. Ryan shot me a troubled look, then snapped into the phone for Haley to get over here with the card, now. While we waited, my phone buzzed. It was Jax. He sent a picture of himself, blonde hair glinting under a streetlight, sitting on a ridiculously cool-looking red sports bike, his helmet tucked under his arm. A dozen smaller bikes were lined up behind him. Jax, who the hell is messing with my girl? Wait for me. We're on our way to shut them down. His typical, over-the-top bravado actually made me crack a small smile. He always seemed so moody and quiet, but around me, he was all protective bluster. I scrolled down and saw he'd sent a longer message before the picture. Jax, by the way, I met this girl on the campus confessions page last month. I think she's into me. She sent me a bunch of pics with her face blurred out. The body is crazy, looks almost exactly like you. I even zoomed in, the beauty mark on her knee is in the same spot. Jax, I was starting to think she was your secret long-lost sister or something. Jax, anyway, she just texted me too, saying someone was bullying her and asking me to come help. I told her to wait. Jax, after I'm done with your thing, maybe we can go meet her together? Something about it felt off. But with my head still spinning with anger, I couldn't quite place it. I just texted him back to drive safe and put my phone away. Night had fully fallen by the time Haley finally showed up, dragging her feet down the lamplit path. She was wearing a new, lime green sundress, and she kept looking over her shoulder as if she was expecting someone. It wasn't until Ryan yelled her name that she pouted and jogged over. What's the rush? Can't you see I'm wearing a dress? She whined. As she got closer, I realized the floral pattern on her dress was identical to the one I bought that afternoon. When I was at the store, they only had one left in yellow. She must have settled for the green. Haley was a little heavier than me, and the same size looked tight on her, accentuating her stomach and thighs. A wave of nausea washed over me, the feeling of being copied by a parasite. I shot a cold smirk at Ryan. Oh, I almost forgot. What about you giving my photos to Haley and letting her pass them off as her own on Instagram? How are we settling that? Their faces fell in unison. Haley, being the more shameless of the two, puffed up her chest like an insulted pigeon. Chloe, are you insane? Who would steal your stupid pictures? Ryan, who had already seen my evidence, knew there was no point in denying it. He grabbed Haley's arm. Haley's parents are really traditional and hard on her, he said to me, his voice pleading. She's always had low self-esteem, never even been on a date. She said she wanted to see what online dating was like, so I let her use your pictures. I mean, you two have a similar build, and the face was blurred out, so it's like she was posting pictures of herself, just a more confident version. You don't have to be so angry about it, Chloe. I nearly choked on my own laughter. So the guys in the comments calling her out for looking different were just blind? And blurring a face magically makes a stolen photo your own? By that logic, if I post a picture of Scarlett Johansson, does that make me an Avenger? Afraid I'd lose my mind if I talked to them any longer, I fixed Ryan with an icy glare. You better pray she didn't use my photos to talk to anyone privately. The photos, the stolen money. I'm counting it all up. You can both wait for a letter from my lawyer. My Thanksgiving break was officially ruined. I was so disgusted I didn't even want to wait for Jax anymore. I was ready to go back to my dorm and find a lawyer online. But Haley grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. Her eyes were blazing, and her voice was a shrill shriek. I did use your photos to talk to someone, so what? And you're not going anywhere. I already called my boyfriend to come deal with you. She sneered, her confidence suddenly returning. And just so you know, my boyfriend is the campus bad boy. His family just funded the new library. You think he cares about your pocket change? When he gets here, he'll pay you back double just to shut you up. She reached into her purse, pulled out my debit card, and threw it on the ground. And I'll get a lawyer too. For slander. You'll pay for all the lies you just told about me. I was numb with rage. I didn't even bother to pick up the card. I just looked at her, my voice dripping with ice. Your boyfriend, huh? Did you meet him using my photos? I told you, that's slander, she insisted, though her eyes darted away. And so what if I did? The person he's been talking to is me. He loves my personality. He says I'm cute and genuine. Even when we meet in person, he'll fall for the real me. You're not leaving. You bullied me, and my boyfriend is not going to let you get away with it. So, she definitely catfished someone with my pictures. Her hand was still clamped on my arm, and as I reread Jax's text in my head, a terrifying thought began to form. I narrowed my eyes. The campus bad boy Haley was talking about. It couldn't be Jax, could it? There wasn't really a campus bad boy at our university until Jax showed up. During the first week of school, my photo got plastered all over the campus social media pages because I was voted prettiest freshman. It led to a group of townies cornering me outside the main gate. Jax saw it happen. He revved his motorcycle and literally plowed through them, sending them flying. Then he got off and took on all 10 of them, his eyes wild. After that, the legend of the campus bad boy was born. Besides Jax, I couldn't think of anyone else who fit the description. But his texts, he didn't sound like he had a girlfriend. The west gate of the campus wasn't far. Suddenly, the deep roar of multiple engines filled the air. I saw a flash of blonde hair and red metal speed past the outer fence toward the entrance. My suspicion grew stronger. Your online boyfriend, I asked Haley, my voice flat. His name wouldn't happen to be Jax, would it? Haley obviously saw him too. A deep blush spread from her ears to her neck. She smoothed her dress and tugged at her sleeves, getting ready to run to him before remembering her dress and settling for an anxious little bounce on her feet. She shot me a triumphant glare. Is there any other campus bad boy at this university? My boyfriend is here. I bet you're scared now. I rolled my eyes. That idiot. That big, dumb golden retriever. After chasing me around for more than a decade, he couldn't even recognize me in a photo? Ryan clearly knew of Jax's reputation. A wave of relief washed over his face, and he put on a concerned act for my benefit. Chloe, I've seen that Jax guy around. His family is loaded, and his uncle is on the board of trustees. He'll definitely pay you back for what Haley spent. But I've heard he's a psycho in a fight. He might do something crazy for Haley, and I won't be able to protect you. Just apologize to her. We can let this whole thing go. What do you say? Before I could even respond, Haley whipped her head around and glared at Ryan. What are you talking about? Trying to be the hero? You're still not breaking up with this bitch? When Jax starts a fight with you, whose side am I supposed to be on? Stop making things difficult for me. Jax is almost here. Don't you dare tell him you're Chloe's boyfriend, you hear me? Or he'll kick your ass too. Ryan just looked at me with a pained expression. I ignored him, my eyes fixed on the west gate. Motorcycles weren't allowed on campus, so Jax and his crew were parking outside. He swung his leg over his bike, one hand shoved in the pocket of his black leather jacket, looking effortlessly cool as he chatted with his friends. When he swiped his ID to get through the gate, his eyes met mine. That broody, handsome face instantly lit up. His striking blue eyes sparkled, and with that shock of blonde hair, he looked like a giant, excited puppy. He was about to wave when a figure in a lime green dress crashed directly into his chest. The scene was so shocking that even Jax's friends stared, jaws agape. I couldn't help but let out a sharp gasp. Jax and me. We were childhood best friends, but it was always more like a big sister and her younger, wayward brother. He was the heir to a fortune, sure, but he wasn't found and brought back to his wealthy family until he was a teenager. He'd been lost at age 5 and grew up on the streets. I found him when he was 10, fighting a stray dog over a piece of bread in an alley. He was covered in dirt, bruises, bite marks, and even whip scars. When I brought him home, he was terrified of everyone except me. He followed me around like a shadow, my little duckling. We even shared a room until he was 15. Even after years of therapy and the best care, he was left with severe germophobia and PTSD. He couldn't stand to be touched by anyone. Except me. An accidental brush from a stranger could send him into a rage. And Haley was dating him? Did she really not know about his issues with physical contact? I crossed my arms, watching the drama unfold from a distance. Haley's voice was sickeningly sweet and loud enough for me to hear from 50 feet away. Jax, you're finally here. You have no idea how awful that woman is. She's accusing me of using her pictures to talk to you online. And I only used a little bit of money from her card, like $35,000, that's it. Your allowance is in the 6 figures, right? Can you just pay her back for me? Please? I just want this psycho bitch out of my life. Her whining was cut short by a sickening crack. Haley stared in horror as Jax, with a swift, brutal motion, dislocated both of her arms. She looked up and met his cold, dead eyes. His blonde hair looked dull under the campus lights, and his gaze was like broken glass, sharp and merciless. The photos you sent me, he said, his voice a low growl. You stole them from Chloe. And you used her money? He enunciated each word with chilling precision. And you just called her a psycho bitch. Haley froze for a second, then her face crumpled, and she started to sob. Jax, it's me, Haley. We were just texting last night, don't you remember? A cruel smirk twisted Jax's lips. The only reason I didn't block you is because your photos looked like my sister. I don't know who the hell you are. Your sister? Haley stammered, swaying with her useless arms dangling at her sides. But I'm your girlfriend. Even if Chloe's your sister, you should be on my side. Jax's eyes flickered toward me for a split second before he turned his full, disgusted attention back to Haley. Who said I was dating you? Stop spreading rumors. I've barely said 10 words to you. Haley's head shot up. She stumbled towards him, her body contorting weirdly without the use of her arms, like a fish flopping on a deck. No, that's not true. Everyone told me you never add girls, you never talk to them. You added me, you replied to me sometimes. That means you like me. You can't just dump me. You have to pay back the money, and you have to marry me, and take me away from my family, and give me a better life. Before she could finish her frantic rant, Jax shoved her away with a look of utter revulsion. Get away from me. I don't hit girls. Then, in a blur of motion, he spun around and a fist cracked against Ryan's jaw. But I'll settle her tab with you. He drew his fist back for another punch, but I grabbed his arm. Wait until the cops get here, I said, holding up my phone to show the 911 call in progress. Don't give them a reason to press charges against you. I had been too scared of Ryan's temper to call the police before. But with Jax here, I immediately called them and my family's lawyer, sending over all the screenshots and evidence I had. Jax's crew surrounded Ryan and Haley, making sure they didn't go anywhere. When I pulled Jax away, his blonde hair was a mess. He stood there, looking down at the ground like a guilty puppy, wanting to get closer but not daring to. He finally mumbled, his voice thick with self-loathing, I feel so dirty. His brow was furrowed, and he kept rubbing his hands together as if trying to scrub a layer of skin off. I glanced over at Ryan, then opened my arms to Jax. It's over. I broke up with him. You can hug me. In an instant, a warm, blonde missile launched into my arms. Chloe, you have to wash me clean, he whimpered, burying his face in my neck, his fluffy hair tickling my skin as he desperately inhaled my scent. I held him tight, the tension I'd been holding all day finally releasing. A small, choked sob escaped my lips. I'm never dating again. Guys are the worst. Jax's soft hair brushed against my cheek again. His voice was a low, rumbling promise in my ear. Good. Then I'll take care of you forever. By the time we left the police station, it was almost dawn. The good news was, I was free of a toxic scumbag. The bad news was, my Thanksgiving break was trashed. My lawyer explained that because the amount stolen was over $35,000, it was a felony. If I pressed hard, Haley was facing not only full restitution but also up to 10 years in prison. Ryan, as an accessory, would likely get off with a month in jail at most. A few days before the hearing, Ryan confronted me on campus. He looked exhausted, his eyes bloodshot, but his attitude was still as arrogant as ever. Chloe, you've been loving that research position, right? I'm the one who got you into that lab. I can just as easily get you kicked out. He gritted his teeth, as if the next words were physically painful for him to say. If you sign the papers to be lenient with Haley, I'll make sure you not only stay in the lab, but I'll give you my spot as lead research assistant. How about it? I raised an eyebrow. Ryan had gotten into our university with top marks and was immediately recruited by several professors. He'd chosen a prestigious biomedical lab, a surefire path to a great career. As his girlfriend, I'd gotten a spot too. Being lead assistant under Professor Albright basically guaranteed a PhD track at our university. He was certain I'd take the deal. I took a sip of my coffee. Go ahead and try, I said calmly. Ryan went to the professor's office that afternoon. I found out the next day from the grad students in the lab that he'd been chewed out spectacularly. He's still bragging about his high school GPA, the senior TA said, rolling her eyes. He's shown up to the lab maybe 5 times this entire semester. You, on the other hand, are here every single day. The professor isn't blind. He knows who's dead weight and who's an asset. He told Ryan to get the hell out before he'd even finished his sentence. I just smiled, wanting nothing more to do with him, and let the subject drop. But the day before the hearing, Ryan found me again. This time, he dropped to his knees. Haley just turned 18. She's so young. If you send her to prison, have you thought about what that will do to her future? Her personality has issues, I know, but it's because of her upbringing. You just won the birth lottery, Chloe. If you grew up like us, you wouldn't have done any better. His voice grew louder, more frantic. He looked up, his eyes bulging as he stared at me. Your life is already so perfect. Can't you just be a little bit kind? Do you have to ruin someone's life to be happy? Before I could react, he lunged at me, his face contorted in a mask of rage. Why do people like you get to have everything so easily? The door to the study room flew open. Jax was there. In a flash, he swung a hard right hook into Ryan's temple. As Ryan stumbled, I lifted my platform boot and stomped his head to the floor, grinding my heel into his cheek for good measure. I looked down at him, my voice devoid of emotion. Over the 7 days of Thanksgiving break, I took a bus to Texas. Haley's family, they're not the villains you made them out to be. On the contrary, when I told them what Haley had done, her mother fainted. Her father got on his knees and begged me, saying he would sell their land, their house, anything to pay me back a portion of the money if I would just keep his daughter out of prison. Her supposedly a favored, younger brother? He dropped out of high school to work in a factory to pay for her college tuition. Haley's sob story about a $200 monthly allowance was a lie. Her parents gave her what they could, but her brother sent her over $2,000 every single month from his meager salary. The month she stole my money, he'd actually sent her $3,000, leaving himself with barely enough for food. When he found out, the brother took a bus all the way from his job in another state to see me, offering me his entire life savings. The autumn air was chilly, but he was wearing a worn-out, short-sleeved shirt that was too small for him. He held out a phone with a cracked screen and asked if I could help him video call his sister. Looking at him, so earnest and broken, I was suddenly reminded of the little boy I'd found in an alley all those years ago. My eyes stung. I couldn't accept his money, but I did quietly tell my lawyer to drop the demand for financial restitution from the family. They had suffered enough. You two are just greedy, Ryan. That's all there is to it. At the sentencing, Haley's parents and brother were there. Her mother's hair seemed to have turned white overnight. Her father kept repeating to me, his face streaked with tears, our girl, she was always the smartest one. The only one in our whole town to get into a top university like this. We weren't good enough for her, couldn't give her the life she deserved. We thought we couldn't let her talent go to waste. Her brother, he's not as bright, so we had him drop out to support her. We never thought sending her to the big city would teach her to be so cruel. I didn't know how to comfort him. I arranged for Haley to see her family one last time before she was taken away. The moment she entered the room, she launched herself at her brother, screaming, "You idiot. You've always been an idiot. Why did you get to be the one to leave? If I had been the one to get a job, none of this would have happened. And now you show up, in your fancy clothes, to laugh at me, is that it? You've always been stupid, so why is your life better than mine?" The cheap, ill-fitting suit her brother had bought special for the occasion was torn to shreds. The guards quickly restrained her. I gave them a numb nod, signaling it was time to go. Watching Haley's retreating back, I felt a grim certainty. Showing her any mercy, reducing her sentence, that would have been the real disaster for her family. The rest of the semester was a blur. I poured myself into my studies, reading every book I could find on finance and investing. I used the money my parents gave me to start carefully playing the stock market. Once I'd made a small profit, I invested most of it in opening a small business with a friend. I lived on a shoestring budget, $20 a day, max. That $50,000 was a hole I had dug for myself, and I was determined to fill it back up. I sent payment reminders to Ryan every week, but his mom's condition had worsened, and he'd gone back to Texas. I knew I'd likely never see that money again. One afternoon, I was working a shift at the campus coffee shop I co-owned, when a familiar, fluffy-haired head snuggled into the crook of my neck from behind. I didn't have to look to know who it was. "No classes today?" I asked, continuing to steam milk. Jax didn't answer. He just wrapped his arms around my waist, his warm, steady breaths ghosting over my collarbone. Something felt off. I turned around, bumping my forehead against his gently. What's up? His voice, when it came, was quiet. Ryan's dead. I froze, and he immediately tightened his grip. See? You still have feelings for him. I rolled my eyes and tapped his forehead. Don't be an idiot. I don't have feelings for a scumbag. It's just sudden. And if the news reached his sick mother in the hospital, she probably wouldn't last long either. I sighed. How did it happen? Car accident, he said. He was crossing the street to buy her some soup from the hospital cafeteria, apparently. Oh. I poured myself a coffee and sat down, watching the sunset through the window, not saying anything else. Jax came and sat beside me, his voice small and wounded. So, are you going to start dating again? I raised an eyebrow and turned to look at him. The golden light of the setting sun bathed his face, highlighting the anxiety in his beautiful eyes. It was like a warm breeze rippling across a still pond. My heart stirred. I reached out and traced the lines of his face, a face so familiar I could draw it from memory. I'd always had a vague sense of Jax's feelings for me, but back then, love was just a game. Even with Ryan, my supposed first love, I'd been careless. Now, a familiar, fluttering warmth spread through my chest. My voice was a little hoarse when I finally closed my eyes. Jax, I whispered. Let's give this a try. The words were barely out of my mouth before his lips were on mine, warm and passionate. I tilted my head back, my fingers gripping his arm. Maybe the future wouldn't be perfect. But for now, in this moment, I had caught my own happiness. Use arrow up and arrow down to select a turn, enter to jump to it, and escape to return to the chat.